I think I got it.
It looks like you do. You have a red flashing and the input.
Yeah, it looks like it's going. Okay, you're on.
All right, great. What was that?
Awesome.
All right, great. Then we'll get started for tonight. First, I'd like to say, Rizav, Harikatute Shatarava, Bel Yaki, Mikuzi Sem Shuna Uv Kuvash Kuro, to Pyrus Karava Vashpesh, Un Signaga Gadioso, to Armageros of Senaga Visto through Senaga Titikits. Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the ancestors to share Vashpesh handwalking and body wisdom, body wellness through body awareness. This is a kind of a self-help class tonight, and we're going to be learning about body wisdom and achieving body wellness through body awareness. And by that, we'll be learning about each Kyong. We have 13 of them, and we're going to go through one per week, and or one per session, I should say, and see what that energy does for us, what its purpose is, what the signs and symptoms of a blocked Kyong would be, and how to bring them back into balance fairly easily. So first, I wanted to go over real quickly with you our packet that you should have received, of just some of our handouts first. And so first I have here this energetic picture. This is our first one. I've had this image for quite a long time, and the moment that I saw it, it came from a crayon workshop that he had, and I saw it. It didn't have all the Kyongs in it, so I added the Kyongs with this, and it just really struck me as this is the energy. This is the energy that is around us, going in us, through us, in between us. And it just struck me as a really nice visual of how you can see that energy goes in the figure eights, how that energy is working with each little system, the web that it creates with the energy, and how important these guys are to have their clean tracks. And we're going to go over what Kyongs are looking like and how they're supposed to be spinning and what they feel like and all kinds of different things like that. The second one that I have here is our little Kyong man with plenty of space to take any kinds of notes that you might need throughout the different things. And this also shows you a little bit of their placement. And as you can see in this particular handout, they do not start at the bottom and work their way up. They start in the way that they were initiated, or the way that energy evolved in our needs of our own evolution. And we'll go over the snaking around bit of it here in a few minutes, and what each of these names of these Kyongs are. The next one is a little typed out thing that you can actually kind of put where you can see, you can put the two together and you can see the energies and what each thing that we'll be going over of all the 13 Kyongs. It has their names. It has about where they would correspond to the vertebrae as well. And so it's just a nice little referral sheet. A lot of these first things, I'm kind of wanting you to, it's a lot of information that we're going to be going over here. So I want to try and share and show different ways of looking at things, not all linear, some Thank you. Couldn't get that one out. And that's what our next one is this guy. Okay, so this is also showing within the circle how in the colors kind of each of these Kyongs. We got them as best as we could. So on the far left we have the number of each Kyong. Next to that is their meaning through the Apache philosophy, which is what I follow, the Tilshtayan Apache way. And so you could look at this as a medicine wheel, which we will be a couple down, but each one of those would be the name or the energy that particular Kyong is carrying. To the right of our little man here, or I guess, yeah, those are the names. So at the crown we have Kopavi, that's the name of that Kyong, and its energy is about honoring enlightenment. Okay, the third eye is Sinjong, and its energy is all about hearing truth. Okay, so you can see as it goes down, it talks about what the energy of each one of these is all the way down, which we'll go over a little bit more later as well. We're really working with the physical aspects of what breaks down a Kyong and how to bring it back together, not as much as the philosophy. That's Maria's bit, and that is usually done through spiral dancing. And then on the far side is the totemic animal that is the energy of this area as well. So Hadaditla, that's the little ones.
No, it's not. It's the thunder.
Excuse me, that's the thunder beings. Tuma is the buffalo. Nwiziyi is the ancestors. Nakia in the south, that's Maria's guardian, as well as the guardian of the south, Nakia. And 9 is Yuzin. 3 is Io Toto. 10 is Isong Kingson Dihi, that's our mother, the earth.
Oh, you froze.
I'm sorry?
The last thing I heard was Nakia and South Guardian, and then it froze.
It froze? Okay.
Yeah.
Happens occasionally.
Yeah, that does happen, so this is all little kinks that we're working out. So using Io Toto, grandmother bear. Isong Kingson Dihi, that's our earth mother. Pinu'u, Iamai. Kachinas is like the all-seeing ones. The archangels. It's the eagle. Who is this one? Tamacha, thank you. The cougar. And then Doliatis, the little ones.
So there are 2 little ones?
No, I was mistaken with the Hadaditla. That is the... I'm sorry? The Hadaditla is the thunder beings.
Oh, thunder beings, okay.
Yeah. So that's the name of that energy as well. Which one did you miss?
The one after Nakia? Yuzin?
The one
Yuzin.
after Nakia is Yuzin. Y-U-S-N.
Uh-huh.
Giver of all life. The male.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. The next packet, the next thing in your packet, which we'll be using a little bit later, is I Am Magnificent. Little chant prayer. And then our Gosh Pesh handout with our lines. And our stone grid, which we will be using later. So this tells all of the stones that we will be using. I don't know if you got that list of stones that we're going to be using in the class. I hope you were able to gather them.
You have to ask them by name if you want to respond.
Okay.
So they know who you're talking to.
Well, they're shaking their heads yes, like they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the list. I'm still missing one.
At least for Turquoise for tonight, if we at least have that one to get started with, and then you can get any other ones that you would need later. And then lastly are the prayers to each of the stones. Okay?
Okay.
All that we'll be going over a little bit later.
Cool.
Okay? Cool. So I asked Maria, and I know she was really working hard on helping me get things together here. So I asked her to include in your packet, or what I would like for you to get, is salt ceremony, red or any color. Did you get that now? Nope, they're shaking their heads again. So my baby's doing really, really well. Okay.
Got salt.
Okay, so salt ceremony, I'm going to pass this around, so if you each would have a little pinch of salt as we're doing this, I'll take that as well. Salt ceremony, salt ceremony is a wonderful way to purify the body. It's our Hawaiian family's way, and they pray and gather the salt. Ooh, that was a little salty. They pray and gather the salt, and they pray over the minerals. There's over 87 different minerals in the Red Sea salt that our body really needs that we don't think we need. And many times you'll hear the doctors saying, oh no salt in your diet, nothing at all. Part of that is true. No processed salt is a true story. But to have sea salt or anything like that is a must. Whoa, we just lost Aviana. There you are. Is a must for our body. Okay. Ancestors knew that sea salt was our gift from our mother. They knew that we needed this salt to exist. Our mother does not need this salt. It's a gift to us because she knows if we do not have it, we cannot exist. That's how important good, healthy salt is on our behalf. Ancestors knew that it was good for something. They just weren't exactly sure in the succession that it went. But for them, they first tasted it, and it enhanced the flavor of their foods. And their flavor buds on their tongue became very activated, and they knew at that point when they put that little pinch on their tongue just to have it because they knew it was such a gift, their whole system went, yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's what we need. They may not have known why exactly in the moment, but they knew the energy and they knew the feeling that the body took when they would take a pinch and put it on their tongue. So then when they thought happy thoughts along with it, then it just took all of their whole body into a cellular overload of just a wonderful feeling of salt. For us, for them back then, they then realized that it was a wonderful preservative, both for meats and for fruits and vegetables. And so with that, they were able then to just understand how good it was with the preservatives and with how good it felt in the body. Much later, they found out that with the science came about, and technically it came about, that that for us, we need salt for our sodium potassium pump, which means that gets the energy moving within our body. It also helps so that any muscle cramps or anything like that that might be happening will all be dissolved. Also is amazing for the water. If we're supposed to be drinking water and the water is just going through us, then our cells cannot absorb, or it cannot, the water molecules can't do its job at flushing out the toxins. So it's important for our electrical pump, for our heart to make those beats. It's important for our muscles so that they don't cramp and so that they can move and be kind of mobile and more active. The ancestors also used to use it. My ancestors used to use it for weddings, to rub the baby down when they were born. With the weddings, they would have salt and bread. And they knew that if you had salt and bread, you could have life. That was all they needed, plus water. But they would also use it as to ward off evil spirits. And so they would make little rows in front of their home to protect them from any type of negativity or anything that just really wasn't working for them in that kind of way. So that's why it's important to have a salt ceremony. You want to have it at least once a day to help with the electrolytes. If you don't have any and you're losing your energy, you can have a little pinch of salt and a little pinch of some type of sweetness or sugar. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have anything else, you make yourself some electrolytes with a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar if you don't have anything else. So salt is a really important thing on the good side of salt, not the processed side. And we will get into the processed side pretty quickly here in what's going on. So Kyongs are like chakras. They're like energy vortexes. They're like gateways. And they are spiraling in through our body. Sometimes they spiral out. Sometimes they spiral to the left. Sometimes they spiral to the right or up or down. If they're spiraling in that kind of direction, it is not a healthy type of spiral. Kyongs go forward, they go out to the sides, and they go out to the backs. And so what they are little vortexes of light and information. So they're bringing in the information that is from outside to the inside, and then they go and they say, okay, what's happening within? They become an eternal flame for each of these Kyong. And so the flame, the eternal flame, is responsible, as we saw here, for that band. And whatever organ or system is within that band, then those Kyongs are going to be most effective. And they're going to bring the information in. And they start out here in our ethereal level, and they come in. So that's where dis-ease starts, from outside of our body. And through stress or through emotional stress or mental or spiritual stress or anything, each one of these Kyong can be affected in a different kind of way. So when they are affected, they will go to that weak link. Whatever that energy is that has affected that area, then that's the type of disease or dis-ease that will be happening. So with the 13 Kyong, they were activated in the way of our own evolution. So they do not start at the root and work their way up. They kind of snake their way around. And the first Kyong that was activated was our throat, which we will be working with tonight. That's called Dai Cho. Number 2 is our Kopavi, is our crown. So when we opened up to spirit, then that Kyong became necessary for us to open so that we can bring that spirit down into our body and continue our evolution. Our third Kyong is our heart chakra, called BG. And that's where our first emotion of love. From there we went down to the root, or to the genitals, and that is our Jang Jang. That's our primal. That's our little kid. That's our joy spot. 5 is the third eye, Sinjong. It's where we vision outward. Number 6 is Babid, our navel. 7 is about 2 inches below that, and that's BG. That's our loving freedom spot. 8 is back here, our mandula oblongata. It's Pangbu. And that's where the ancestors like to sit and hang out, and that's where you get a lot of downloads of information that just kind of overactivate a lot of times. It's where you get your migraines, because ancestors might be having a lot to say, and we might not be able to hear exactly what they would want us to know in that moment. Number 9 is our thymus, Sinjo. That's all about living harmony there. That's our master healer gland. So we want to keep that in harmony. When we're out of harmony within our thymus gland, then we got problems throughout our system, as that is one of our master endocrine glands. 10 is our diaphragm, Myeong Moon. That's where, where you get those kind of weird feelings when you walk into a room and it's not all good kind of stuff, but you feel it in your gut or your solar plexus. You feel all that energy that might have been either arguing or fighting, or you get those intuitional pulls out of. That's that one. Suck Moon is it's about 4 inches-ish below that. Pardon me? Or halfway in between the solar plexus and the belly button. Most of the Kyongs are about 2 inches apart. However, there are a few that are off kilter just a little bit. This is one of them, that it's in between the diaphragm and the belly button. And so on some people it's 4 inches, on some people it's a little less. Yeah, like 2 on Maria. Depends on how long you are. So that's Suck Moon. And that's about walking your purpose. Information out of there. Number 12 is Bitchy. That's our womb. And it's really, I have a problem with my plate sometimes, so it's really beachy. Beachy. But so, a lot of times it comes out bitchy. And number 13 is the bottom of our feet, Yeong Buck, which we definitely lose connection with a lot. And I have really, through the last year or so, really been introduced to Eon Buck in a whole different manner, a whole different way that I never knew could happen. So each of these Kyongs, they do burn on their own. They're their own little energy centers and little vortexes. And when they're out of balance, they give us signs. We go through signs to get to symptoms. The signs is how our body is out of balance, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. The symptoms are how our body feels or is affected from those signs being out of balance. So that's where you would get your cold or your flu. Those are symptoms of being out of balance. So if a Kyong, usually a Kyong is going to be, it's going to start at a focal point next to the body. It's not really a pinpoint kind of an energy. It's at least the diameter of about a quarter, and then it blossoms out from each part. So we could see in that first handout that I gave you how that energy blossoms. My blossom is gone. Where are you, my blossom? Okay. So as it blossoms out, then if it's blossoming out of 3, and then we've got 9 blossoming on it, so they kind of overlap then with their blossoms. So the information that they're bringing in, and then they're sharing with each of the other Kyong, is, and when they can, and when they're all in a good web, that's when you have a healthy body. When we've had stress to that area or that Kyong, mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally, each time that Kyong is going to take a hit, and it's going to close down, or it's going to be turned to the left or the right, and that's how that Kyong then will give you not an accurate picture of what's going on. So then it's not able to communicate with the other fires in a good and right way. So your fires and your Kyong, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And many times you can feel how these Kyongs are, where they are out of balance, or just exactly what that looks like when things aren't going right. So tonight then, having kind of knowing all that, we're going to start tonight with Dai Cho. Dai Cho is in our throat. So it's about C3-4. So it starts out like this. And Dai Cho is where we learn to speak our truth, where we learn to speak our wants and needs. It's where we learn to voice our intent of what we want to manifest. Dream it, write it down, say it, so it is, kind of thing. So we want to, the other purpose of Dai Cho is to be conscious of our spoken words. Dai Cho works best, really, with no blame game. Doesn't really like to do a blame game at all. Every time we start pointing fingers and we start blaming that game, that Kyong is going to take a hit every time. Okay? The cells and the vortex and the Kyongs, they're very impressionable. So if we are choosing to speak in only a negative way, then we are going to find all kinds of things that are going to be hampering us. If we choose to speak in a positive way, then that positive energy is going to be feeding the cells in a much more positive way. It's really not always easy to be positive with our words. And when we're not positive with our words, the faster we're not positive, the faster our Kyong will go down. So we'll lose our voice if we're stuffing it. Once we start not saying what our wants and needs are and stuffing it, our dying process begins. That's how impressionable this Kyong is. The good news about Kyongs is they're fairly easy to bring back into balance if we know what's going on with them. Because they're that impressionable. They can go either way. They can bounce back as long as we're not so stuck. If we're so stuck, then it's just going to take a little bit more time to work with that. So, as I said before, the physical location is C45, right down in through here. C45. My personal story with Dai Cho, I've always actually not had, Dai Cho has always been a weak Kyong for me. But when I was working in the hospital, I had to wear a lot of lead aprons. They were 25 pounds, and so they would bring my neck and my shoulder down forward because it was just at that time a front thing. And so I ended up getting a lot of spurring and lipping within my neck, herniations and bulgings within the muscles, compression, and all of that gave a really just unbelievable minimal range of motion. At that time, I had this much range of motion. I could do this after I got really hurt. That was my range of motion, less than 5%. So I had compressions and I had herniations. I had minimal range of motion. I was a junk food junkie, or a junk food vegetarian, I should say. So I always thought that cheese puffs and, that I could get my Oreo, I could get my dairy out of that, and my nutrition and my program for eating and sustaining myself was non-existent. Being that dedicated healthcare professional, I worked easy 16 to 18-hour days on my feet with that lead apron. We were in teaching hospitals, so I didn't take the lead apron off because I would lose the apron. If I lost the apron, I couldn't go into the lab to do my work because the students would come. The interns would come and steal your lead while you were developing film. So I would go and take, I would have double mochas all day, or I would go through pots of coffee. I would have Diet Dr. Peppers, didn't care if they were cold or not. That's what I was drinking. Water was not even in my vocabulary. I didn't know what that was. So anything that I could eat, sometimes I had a salad, which, was good in that moment. But most of the time, it was fast food, junk food vegetarian. And so there's a lot of chips and different things like that I would use. And I started developing coughs, really nagging coughs that weren't in my chest. They were in my throat. And I got really sensitive to a lot of different pollens and metals and smells and a lot of different food. I was pretty toxic from head to toe for me. I went through a very serious depression and extreme nervousness. I was always nauseated, just to the core, and I always had hot flashes, and I always had cramps and stomach cramps and different things like that. So it was really easy for me when I first got into learning about the Kyong, how to figure out how fast I could get myself back on track, especially I just took one at a time and really concentrated on that one for a week and then concentrated on the next one for a week and just kind of got myself back on track. And once I was able to do that, then my life started changing. But the effects of Dai Cho, or the signs of Dai Cho going out of balance, some of the things that affect Dai Cho in that way is humiliation. Humiliation is a really good one that is just going to shut Dai Cho down. That's the I never get to do what I want to do, and everybody's better than me kind of thing. Repressed anger is another one that shuts Dai Cho down really quickly. That's the part where you just want to hit somebody, but you can't get it out. For me, I've had a couple of times where I have a hard time getting out. And so I work with Daicho a lot, but I still have that problem. Another thing that works against Daicho is multitasking. Doing too much going on, overcommitting, in that you have a cycle to get things done, and if you can't get your commitments done within that cycle, you want to really watch and make sure that you're not doing too much. You don't have too much on your plate. The weather and the elements change. Elevation changes really do a number on Daicho as well. And yelling. Daicho cannot stand yelling at all. And I remember the first time, I'm not a yeller, not normally, but I remember the first time that I really yelled. And I had so much repressed anger. Maria and I were living up in Redwood Valley, and we had this, I think it was a 30-foot camper RV that we were staying in from some friends of ours. And that's a really, really tiny space to live and share with another person and a dog and 2 cats. And so it took me a while, but I finally got it out. And I yelled and screamed, and I threw a little shell. Not that little, it was a good-sized shell. And I yelled so much that I ended up getting laryngitis. It hurt my throat to yell. I was so worried by that. I was like, nope, I'm never yelling again. And Maria's like, hey, you yelled. So, yelling it's good to get it out in a healthy kind of way, but not so much that it's going to just kill you for it, which is basically what it had done for me. So different things that can take Daicho out of signs that you want to look after for Daicho is environmental toxins and pollutants and the pollens. I know for me, coming back and forth to different places that we live, it usually takes me a year to get used to the environmental toxins and pollutants and pollens. Each one has its own different pollens and different pollutants, each state or each place that you move to. So it's a whole nother thing that Daicho has to get used to. Another really big sign for Daicho to be out of balance quickly is dehydration. That's one of the biggest signs for Daicho. The main reason is why it's one of the main signs is because it's the main port of entry. It's the first port that we put stuff into our body that accepts nutrients or not. It just, most of the things that we put in our body dehydrates us, whether we realize that or not. So products like with words with light or diet, those usually have aspartame or saccharin in them, and we're really hard on the body, really, really hard on the body for it to store, for it to digest, for it to break down. Most things in our medicine cabinet, our body cannot break down and is really hard on Daicho. So those pills that we're doing, mouthwash, particularly mouthwash that has alcohol in it. So any kind of alcohol just dehydrates the throat or the Kyong. Smoking of any kind also will dehydrate that Kyong in a really massive kind of way. A lot of times toothpaste, coffee, any colored teas, chocolate, or any of the caffeinated sodas, those all dehydrate. Refined sugar is a really nasty one for the port of entry. And MSG, monosodium glutamate. We're going to go over that one in a few minutes, just exactly what that does to us. So those are a lot of the signs around us, outside of us, that we put into our body that create symptoms when those Kyongs start going down. So some of the symptoms of a diseased Daicho would be coughing in the throat. You know, you can feel the difference between coughing in the throat and coughing in the chest a lot of times. So a sore, scratchy throat. A pale or white tongue. I like to do a tongue check every day just to make sure. Maria's getting a whole new idea of a pale white tongue because of the glue that she has to use for her dentures. So that glue is among the worst things that you can do for Daicho. Because what that does is you put the glue strategically on the plate, whether it be above or below. In her case, it was above and below. Now it's mostly below. And what that does is it seals all of the pores up in the port of entry. So the first place where we accept nutrients in our body has been shut off. It's already sealed off. So that's already, you know, an extra pint of water easy, just for if you're having to put glue or using dentures or something like that. I feel very blessed right now. I don't have to worry about using glue. It's so hard on the body. It's so hard on Daicho. And so since she's been using Daicho, since she's been using the glue, her Daicho, if her teeth are out and she's sleeping, the tongue gets stuck to the roof of the mouth. Because that's what it does. So, you know, the whole palate just becomes compromised with that. And so it's really important to check your tongue. And so you can tell if you're dehydrated by your tongue. That's one of the first ways you can check for dehydration within your body. Another thing that you can tell if a symptom of dehydrated Daicho is a stiff neck pain, muscle tension, insomnia. We know how, you know, if we're having neck pain, it's going to keep us awake, because a lot of times it pulls around the ear, it pulls from the ear to the shoulder. Not quite migraine, but very close, because they're very close to Pengbu. So remember, they're going to share. If something's wrong with one, then it's probably, you might have something wrong with 8, and you might have something wrong with 9. They're going to be at least compromised a little bit. You can't have one that is compromised without having a chain reaction and having it go downstream from there. So a lot of times you also will have thyroid problems. And you'll get shoulder and arm pain as well. Bursitis is another one that you'll get with Daicho being compromised. Hay fever. Hay fever is a really good one too. Hay fever, laryngitis, mucus. These are, you know, symptoms throughout the whole body of being dehydrated. But it's really important, and it starts there at number 1 at Daicho. Also colds. Cold's, Cold's creator's way of saying, hey, you got to slow down. That's that multitasking thing, Tonsillitis. Woo! Kazoom! Tonsillitis is another one that you'll get. And I mentioned a little bit before, MSG toxicity. That's a huge one. Monosodium glutamate. So harmful for the body. It's one of the most harmful preservatives that they create. And it's really interesting. FDA says you got to put it on the labels. If there's a substantial amount of MSG, then it needs to be put on that label. But you can get at least 25% MSG, and they don't have to tell you that it's in the product. All they do is tell you it's in natural flavors. So when you see natural flavors on the back of that, on the back of the label, you want to be very cautious about what you're getting ready to buy, because they don't have to tell you. So if natural, and they put natural flavors in there. I see natural flavors now today, it seems, a lot more often than I see it as MSG. So they sneak, and they're allowed to do that. But MSG gives some unbelievable symptoms to the body. So the symptoms of MSG toxicity is migraines, balancing difficulties, shortness of breath, asthma, heart irregularities, disabling arthritis pain, serious depression, serious depression, as well as disruptive behavior disorders. So, our kids, they are really getting a lot of this stuff, and we just don't know it. We give them the flavored chips. So, barbecued chips or Cheetos or cheese, all that stuff that I was feeding myself in my little junk food junkie stage. That's what we give to our kids a lot. So they're having these behavior problems, and then they go and turn around and say, oh no, you're ADHD, or you're this or you're that, when we really need to go and look at the nutrition first. Also, Alzheimer's is another really big one. Nerve degenerative disorders. So that's the really sensitive with the nerve pains. Dizziness. Slurred speech. And it actually ages you, brings on the signs of aging a lot faster. Rashes, chest pressure, facial pressure. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bell's palsy. It's not like Bell's palsy, but it leaves you feeling the pressure of not really having a mobile place to go. So you get pressure within the sinus. You get, and the pressure then stops the skin from being able to move and be flexible within the facial structures. You get really weak, severe weakness. You might see flashing lights. I remember one time Maria asked me about that when we first got together. What about flashing lights? What do you know about flashing lights? That was before I really knew. I'm like, oh, you might have some incoming. Nope. So we need to look at our nutrition and take out any kind of MSG that we might be having. Also will leave you feeling nauseated a good portion of the time. Huge mood swings, hot flashes, stomach aches, and cramping. I mean, that's just, to me, that's a huge amount of stuff. So how's everybody doing so far? Are we understanding Daicho? Aviana?
Yep.
Jamie, do you have any questions
All
at this
good.
point? Okay, because now
No.
we're really at a point of, okay, how are we going to bring this stuff back into balance? Okay? So, mentally, if we were to look at the words that we're using, so I'm going to name off a list of words. And if any of these words are in your thoughts or your vocabulary on a regular basis, your Daicho is having a negative effect on that. It's part of that blame game. So any of these words that hit for you, and I don't think all of them would be, but you just don't know. So bored. That word comes up for you. You're bored. Can't win. Cold. Cut off. Dead. Defeated. Depressed. Despair. Discouraged. Doomed. Drained. Failure. Forgetful. Giving up. Hardened. Helpless. I can't. I don't care. Indecisive. Indifferent. That's the one that gets me all the time. Invisible. It's too late. Lazy. Let's wait. Lose.
Oh, is that?
Am I cutting in and out?
Yeah.
Okay, did you get let's wait?
No.
Okay, let's wait.
Lose weight?
Let's. L-E-T-S, wait. Not lose.
Let's wait.
Oh,
Let's wait. Let's
okay, let's wait.
let's hang out.
Okay.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way, right? Lost. Lost. Negative. Negative.
Negative.
Okay. I saw that look and I'm like, okay, did she get it or not? I can't tell if, I mean, sometimes I can tell because of the input and the output, but I'm not always really sure what's going on here. So where am I here? Did you get negative? Negative? Okay.
Yes.
Numb. Numb. Overwhelmed. I get that way a lot.
I feel like since the fifth world started, I feel like overwhelmed is kind of like the theme these days, not just for myself, but other people.
Right, it's like, whoa. So, right there. And, when I say that, sometimes I feel it right there. Overwhelmed. Powerless. Resigned. Spaced out. Stuck. Too tired. I get that one too. I was feeling that way a little bit earlier. I was like, oh, wait. I hope I make this one. Unfeeling. Unfeeling. Unfocused. Useless. Vague. I know how to do that well too. What's the use? Why try? And worthless. So, Aviana, how did any of those words fit in your world?
Of course. I say cold a lot, and I say too tired a lot. Probably say dead. So definitely there are some in there, but not as many as I would have expected.
The first time I did this list, it was half easy. The first time I went through it, I've come a long way, baby.
Yeah.
How about you,
Absolutely.
Jamie? How about you?
Yeah, definitely. Same with like Aviana, the dead, and drained. God, I feel drained a lot.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed. I feel that a lot too. Especially with not leaving my house as often. When I do leave my house, it's just very overwhelming.
Right.
Too tired. Stuck. Sometimes I feel really stuck, but I think that's also part of my physicality, not being able to walk or move or do simple things like go to the bathroom.
Right. And it's probably not that easy to voice that stuckness, right? Or do you voice stuckness okay?
That's where it's sometimes, like if I want to, I need help, but then it gets choked up in the throat and instead tears come instead of the words,
Right. Right. I gotcha. I totally can relate to that. So, some easy ways mentally that we can bring Dai Cho back into balance is first, make a commitment to yourself for no negative words, no blame game. And if you have, if that's a challenge for you, see how long you can go. And then you can't beat yourself up if it's not as long as you had hoped. But, just kind of give yourself a break and say, okay, we're going to just kind of keep on one stepping. It's hard to really get, if you're in a mental person, and I am a mental person myself, and once I get into those words, they take me down quick. So for a long time, I've really been working on making that commitment to being positive, to keeping that positive word. And so sometimes I have to whistle to keep me positive. Sometimes, and more often, I say affirmations. which is our I am magnificent affirmation, which is kind of towards the end here. So I am magnificent. So I wanted to put this particular affirmation in the mental part because it is really giving, it's giving us a really good energetic blast. I like to sing this song, and a lot of my ditties I end up putting a tune to, so that my little kid can get involved, and so that I can help keep her as positive as possible during our day and during what we're doing. I like to include her as much as I can because it's really all about her. And so a lot of times, if I sing it, then I can feel a vibration. And for a long time, I couldn't feel a vibration. So it scared me when I first put my hand to my heart, and I hadn't been doing my positive affirmations and things, and I couldn't feel the vibration when I said something, and that scared me. And I knew that my little kid was hurt and hiding and not where she was supposed to be. So my auntie gave me this particular affirmation, but she only did it for the word I, so that I incorporated I. But then when I'm working for me and my little kid, I had to incorporate her, so that's the you part. And then I put us both together, that's the we part. So for me, I like to say this affirmation. I like to sing this affirmation. I do it minimally once a day. If I'm feeling mentally not feeling up or where I know I could be, then I will definitely say it throughout the day. And my affirmations, I'll say them, periodically throughout the day, here and there. So this one, I'll sing the first stanza, and then you'll get kind of the rhythm of it, and then I'd like for you to sing it with me, and I like to do it 3 times, the whole thing 3 times, okay? So this is one way that we can change Daicho mentally, and if we do it regularly, I do mine daily, then you can set it in and it will really be good. So here we go. Me, 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 me. I am magnificent. I was born magnificent. I carry the light and love of Creator, Mother, and the ancestors deep inside me. Oh, I deserve to be here in my mastery. Got it, gals? Okay, here we go with you, okay? 1, 2, 3. You are magnificent. You were born magnificent. You carry the light and love of Creator, Mother, and the ancestors inside me. Oh, you. Oh, you deserve to be here in the mastery. How you doing there? Is good? See, look at y'all. Your little kids are all laughing and having a great time. I love it. Okay, let's try we. Are you ready? We are magnificent. We were born magnificent. We carry the love and light of Creator, Mother, and the ancestors deep inside us. Oh, we deserve to be here in our mastery. Maybe I won't make us sing that 3 times, huh? So you kind of got the idea, right? You can put any tune that is going to make you feel that love and light and that magnificent, and the kid loves it. I like to put my hand on my heart because That's where my kid likes to be, in the love zone. I like to feel that vibration. I like to include her in everything that I'm doing. She was, kicked out and put to the side way too far, way too long enough where we don't need to do that. So if you can sing this or at least say it minimally once a day, why don't we do that for homework? Once a day till we meet next week.
Okay.
If you feel like you need it more, go for it. Okay? Just feel that vibration and start changing or consciously being aware of the spoken word and to change that thought process to a positive one. Even if you're in a hard situation. Take a breath and just think of it in the most positive way that you can. And it will eventually start allowing things to just happen, for that word to just change in a really nice, positive way for you. You don't have to use the tune that I did. I don't even know if you totally got that tune over the airwaves and all. But it sure was really wonderful watching you trying to work with it. So, let your little kid come up with her own little tune and watch how much fun she has. Then you'll really love to sing it. We just belt that out together. Especially once we get to the, oh, I deserve to be here in my mastery. She loves that part. That oh, she just goes, oh, takes it on. So just have fun with it and, just see how you feel afterwards. It looks like you both got smiles out here. I mean, that aura just expands just by singing a little positive ditty here and there. It's just so wonderful. I love it personally. So how can we how can we alleviate some of those symptoms and bring Daicho back into balance herbally? What we can do herbally is pinyin. Pinyin pine is the herbal essence or smudge or I'll say, essence for Daicho. And pinyin is all about bringing the sweetness back to the child. It's very comforting kind of a smell. Kid usually really loves it. So you can start your morning off with a smudge. If you're actually having some throat stuff, you can smudge yourself with it. I have this little pinyin brick here. You can get the little bricks and blocks in different flavors and things. It does smoke nicely, so we always like to just cut it in half and do just a little bit at a time. And even that sometimes gets too much. So you can just kind of put it out. But you can smudge the house with it. You can smudge your body with it, your throat chakra with it. And just know that it's going to really help bring that little kid back to a sweet, comfortable place, innocent place. Good stuff like that. So for laryngitis, a good thing that you can use is hot lemon water and honey. You can have honey for your local area as close as you can within 50 to 100 miles. That's even better because that will help you get used to the pollens in your local area. A sore, scratchy throat. If you wake up with one of those sore, scratchy throats, the best thing that I know, and if you have it, I have it in my refrigerator every day, all the time, is 100% pineapple juice. 100% pineapple juice, again, looking at your signs in your labels, not 100% vitamin C, 100% juice. And they get you, man. They get you with those labels. If you're not really looking close, they give you 100 different selections. And being a Libra, that's really not a good thing. You know what I mean? But it's very important to really take a moment to read those labels, because they will tell you 100% vitamin C. That is one of the junkiest juices that you can get, because they can make vitamin C for pennies. It's what is that? Ascorbic acid. That is cheap vitamin C. And that's how they're making that juice, with ascorbic acid. It's pretty bad when they can make ascorbic acid or vitamin C for really less than 5 cents for a gallon. That's how bad it is. So slow down, look at your juices, make sure it's 100%. 100% juices is they will blend some juices, usually white grape juice with different juices and things. But in the 100% pineapple, not only is it amazing vitamin C, really high in vitamin C, it also has protein in it, as well as the good bromelates, which is so good for the system. The body just loves it if we can take it. So for me, if I do pineapple juice when I get up in the morning, just 2 ounces. We don't have to overdo anything, and then take some hot water with it, or any kind of water. Your throat will be totally gone. Your sore, scratchy throat, which is usually one of the precursors to the cold. If you don't get that scratchy throat done in a few minutes, then you know you're going to be down usually. Okay. Another thing you can do is, if you look at your toothpastes and things, take out the fluorides. Those fluorides are pretty nasty as well. They make you think they're good, but you know they're really not. Any mouthwash you're using with alcohol, try and find a different mouthwash. No alcohol. So some other ways that we can bring our body back physically is, one of the main things is water. Okay, so with water, I like to have my clients at least do half your body weight in ounces per day if you're healthy. So if you're a 100-pound person, you want to drink 50 ounces of water a day if you're healthy. If you're doing any type of detox, or you're not feeling good, then you want to do your body weight in ounces so that you can flush those toxins out as quick as possible. Flush, flush, flush. We lose a pint of water every evening or every night just through our respiration and sleeping. We lose a cup of water out of our feet, even if they're clogged. That moisture still, because we have so many toxins in our feet, that moisture just goes out through the feet, and the feet absorb it in a way through that toxic debris, and we can't even use it. We can't even use it. So we don't want to drink you can drink 1 8-ounce cup of coffee or caffeinated beverage a day without having to make up for it. So if you're a pot of coffee drinker a day like I was, or even a 6-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper, remember that diet word, or the double mochas, chocolate and coffee. So no moisture going in at all. Nothing. So a lot of brain burn and a lot of fogged up kind of situations and different things like that. It just really isn't a good positive thing for you. So I like to say you 1 8-ounce glass of either one of coffees. Colored teas are also caffeinated. Browns, blacks, grays, greens. Those all have caffeinated. What? Pardon me? I said green. All of that has that in there. So 1 cup to the rest water. You also don't want to. So like the juices, they're a neutral. They don't take away from your water. You want to be replenishing your system as well, because with drinking all of the water, you're losing your nutrients just because you're flushing. So you want to replace with nutrient fluids. So teas, good herbal teas are really good. And hot water with lemons are really good. That's really wonderful for the digestive system. It's good for the flushing. It gets to the point, though, that if we're drinking too much water and we're not doing our salt ceremony, then the water is just flushing through us, and it's not really doing its job either that way, because it's going so fast that the water molecules don't have time to take out anything. So it's just running through you, and so you're kind of defeating your purpose. So you can have, salt ceremony. You can put salt ceremony in your water if you're drinking your weight in water and it's a consistent thing. Just to help so that water then can help flush you in a good and right way, as opposed to not able to flush and not able to sustain you. But water is a really important way for Daicho to bring that back into balance on a physical level. The salt ceremony itself. Salt ceremony with Daicho is going to help cut through any kind of mucus. It's going to help that cough as well, because you're drinking more water. So if you're getting those aches and pains and you got that mucus and you got that cough going on, that salt ceremony is going to help you on every level.
Mm.
Another way physically that you can help Daicho is to tone. I like to tone every day, and so when I'm going out and I'm saying my prayer, and I'm saying my prayer to Grandfather, and I'm thanking him for another good day. After I've thanked him and done all my word part, then I tone, and I will kind of call him into me, and I will go, or I will say, ooh yeah, ooh, yeah. However, because that's my kid again, wanting to have some fun. But you can even do the A-E-I-O-U thing, and the Daicho just loves to tone, because it loves to have a clear voice. And I remember, if I don't tone, or if it will be a while that I tone, it'll be all scratchy and it'll be going all over the place. It's not a pure, clean tone. So I just like to do that in the morning. Take 2 minutes and say good morning to Grandfather. I've already had my cup of coffee. I've already done my prayers. I'm getting ready to take my shower. So it just seems like, the next best thing to do to start me off in my good morning and in the good day. So try starting to tone at least once a day. See how that works for you in the morning. Oh, I've already said my I am magnificent prayer by the time I tone. And these aren't, they don't take long. They just take a few minutes. But it's the intent of working with your voice and getting it out there. So I do a lot of that. Because I need to set my intent for getting me out there. So another thing that you can do for Daicho to help it so that it doesn't dehydrate is carry around a little spit rock. Spit rock, and they don't have to be too big. But you want them big enough so that you're not necessarily going to swallow them. But you don't need them so big that they leave the poochie in the mouth kind of thing sticking out, So I just like little ones. It doesn't matter exactly what kind of stone, but the kind of stone that you put in it, you will get the energy from whatever stone. I usually will do a citrine spit stone or spit rock. I like citrine a lot. It's a good master healer. And it's one that I have a nice little round one on. And for me, spit rocks are good for when you can't carry water or when you have forgotten your water. And a lot of times on the plane, with not being able to drink, for me, I drink a lot of water. I can't always drink there, so I'll just pop a little spit rock in. There's no calories in it. So there's no sugar in it. So Daicho really loves all of that. It's all natural and everything's good with it. The best story that I have for spit rock, one time when we were in New Mexico, I did forget my water, and I used to walk with Shadow Bear down to the gate and back. And that was about 1/3 of a mile one way. And it was just after monsoons, and I walked down to the gate with Shadow, and I hadn't really realized about the water, and I hadn't really realized about the spit rock in this moment, but all of a sudden, one of the horses, which at that time they weren't ours, they were the next door neighbors, and we were pasturing them. They had just been through the monsoon, and our land was 1.5 miles fenced in. So there was a lot of places that we hadn't quite seen. There was quite a bit of barbed wire that we had, and we didn't really know it because it was old and they had washed up and done different things. And so as I'm walking down to the gate, I see one of the horses, and he had slipped in the monsoons, and he tore up his whole back, butt and leg down to his hock with this nasty barbed wire, and so he's bleeding he's bleeding all over the place, and things are just really not good for him. I didn't bring my phone, and I didn't bring my water, and so I had to run uphill back to the house so that I could get Maria and we could check this guy out together. And so I was almost at the end of my 1/3 of a mile. It was cold out, or it had just rained, and we were at the 6,500 foot level, another elevation change for Daicho. And I have to run back. And so I'm like, so I'm really sucking wind, and Daicho is just losing it in such really fast and hard for me. So all of a sudden, I'm coughing all up in the throat, and it turns all dry. And you know how when your throat's dry, you really lose it bad. And I'm like, oh my God, no water, no. And so I'm starting to go down. I'm a little bit panicked, not bad panic, more for the horse than for myself. And that's when I realized that I had my spit stone. So as soon as I was done with my spit stone, I put that in, and I was able to kind of get the saliva going, get things so that my mouth wasn't so cotton mouth and so dry. The itching and coughing went away. I was able to increase my step, and the next thing I knew, I was up with Maria, had my water, and it got me there. Otherwise, I would have gone down, and it really wouldn't have been quite a good thing to do. So another thing that we can do, and this is more now hands-on with Daicho of what we can do, is first let's rub our hands together a little bit like this, just so that we can see if we can feel Daicho energetically. So what I would like is to just not touch your throat, but come about half an inch to an inch, and just see if you can feel or what you feel from your Daicho in this moment. Is it giving off any energy? Now, with our left hand, we're receiving. With our right hand, we're giving. So we might feel different energies between our left hand and our right hand. So do you feel any of that energy, Aviana? Do you feel anything as you're holding?
I do. I feel an energy coming out.
Okay, good. Jamie, how about you?
Me too.
You too. Okay, so is that a good, strong energy? Are you feeling it on both sides?
For me, it feels different on the left hand than it does on the right hand.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, so now what I want you to do is take your left hand. Left hand is our receiving hand. And this time we're actually going to feel our throat chakra. We're going to, Kyong, we're going to feel Daicho. Put your hand right on it. Okay. Now take your first two fingers, your thumb and your index finger. Start just below the jaw. Now this is my hands-on part that I'm hoping to get across to you. You want to put some pressure. You don't want to squeeze so tight that you're going to be choking. And then you want to take your thumb and your index and you just kind of want to walk it back and forth. And if it's easier, you can go thumb and then index and walk it down. Are you feeling crunchies or tightness?
Tightness.
And you can walk it all the way down to your clavicle. What do you feel? A lot of times you'll feel crunchy. This is called the throat walk. So if you have that laryngitis or you have that coughing or you have that energy within your throat, do your throat walk and just move that vocal cord, that whole area, back and forth. Back and forth. You'll feel tightness, you'll feel congested, and then it will break itself up for you. Okay? That helps with laryngitis. It's good for coughing, good for sore throats. Okay? Another thing you can do for Daicho is you can actually stretch the neck. Okay? And these, a lot of my clients call cheater sizes. So, and what you do with this is you're going to take your chin to your shoulder. Go to the right first. Take the chin over to the shoulder. Bring it down. In front of you, have it touching your chest. We're going counterclockwise. Now your chin to your left shoulder. Bring it down. You can really feel the stretch in the back part of your neck. So if my chin is at my left shoulder, then I can feel that stretch on the right side of my neck. Really good, and it brings it way down into the shoulder. It's a better move than trying to move your neck from ear to shoulder. It's not a natural movement. So anyhow, you want to come back up and then bring your chin up towards the ceiling, looking for those spiders, and come back around. I like to do that about 3 times. Your neck will a lot of times start self-adjusting. And while you're doing this, make sure your shoulders are down. A lot of times they kind of crop up. Just bring them down. Good. After you've done it 3 times, then you want to go the other way. Just stop for a moment. Let that stretch set. Good. Now go the other way. Excellent. I'm hearing necks pop over there. Nice. Good. The next stretches are a really easy and effective way to move energy, to break up alignment and congestion within that area. And then when you're done with that, when you're done with that, then I want you to roll your shoulders back. Bring them up and roll them around. Forward. Then up towards your ears and just let them drop. Towards your ears and let them drop. And just doing that right there is going to totally open up and totally readjust everything that's going on. You also might need to ice a little bit. Can't have any more time for them to do anything.
I won't be able to load it up so they can have it.
Hasn't even been 2 hours or an hour and a half. They just do real quick one more thing, okay? Just real quick.
I'm just telling you.
Okay, just real quick because we're running out of time. Just a couple things with your hands. When Dai Cho is out of alignment, you can see it in your hands. Your hands will be discolored of either white or red. That's good dehydration. Stagnant energy, it's going to be kind of a blue or a really dark red kind of energy. And things we can do for Dai Cho with the hands is we can work our lifeline, our left lifeline. And the way we're going to do that is just in a clockwise manner on the left hand. So you want to use medium pressure with that going around. If you've got coughs and different things in your thumb, right underneath the nail on the interior side, you can press there. That's an acupressure point for coughing.
Interesting.
Yeah. That'll move that around. So also with the thumb represents the neck, everything from just below the nail to mid to the mid digit here. Okay. That is the neck. So you can bring that down. If it's a really white digit area, you know, there's not a lot of congestion getting in there. You can actually bring that energy down into the thumb. Into the pad. How's that feeling for you?
Good.
Good.
All right. So, just real quick, we've got spiritually what we can do with this is our Master Healer Turquoise Stone. So I have some prayers here with you that you have received. So during the week, if you would work with your stone, your turquoise, this is the Master Stone of Emotions. It provides solace for the spirit and well-being for the body. Helps us to release our old vows, specifically for the throat. So this week we want to work with, it releases the old vows.
Old vows?
Old vows. Okay. It releases old vows. So this week, if you would read your first prayer and work with your stone, put it on your throat.
Okay. Yeah, I'm checking your recording.
Okay. So put it on your throat chakra and read that first prayer and just sit with it for a few minutes and see how that has you feel.
Do that every day.
You want to do that every day. When you're not using it, then put it on your the grid, your grid, so that you can start building your container. If you have your stone, all of your stones now, you can place them on top of this. And so that you're starting to energize and reverberize and everything else that goes with it. I apologize for rushing that last part a little bit.
We can turn this part off,
Okay.
and then you can continue to talk to them, but